All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the March 1st, 2022 Hempstead Town Board meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? Here?
Councilman Carini.
Here.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Here.
Councilman Dunn.
Here.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Here. Councilwoman Miller. Here. Councilman Muscarella.
Yeah. Okay, I'm now going to ask Senior Councilwoman and birthday girl Councilwoman Gooseby to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Councilwoman, let me stress, congratulations and happy 55th birthday. We're very excited for you. No problem at all. That's right. There you go. All right. Madam Clerk, please call the first public hearing.
Yes, we have a proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Lido Beach, Oceanside.
Okay, I do not have any slips on that. Does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? All right, is there anybody who did not sign in that wishes to be heard on this hearing? If not, may I please have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be adopted.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, would you please call the next item?
We have a proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Franklin Square, Oceanside, South Hempstead, and Uniondale.
Okay, I do not have any slips on this in front of me. Is any member of the board wish to be heard on this hearing? Is there any member of the public that did not sign in that wants to be heard on item number 2? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and accepted.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Baldwin and Belmore.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? I do not have any slips on this. Does any member of the public who did not sign in and wishes to be heard on item number 3 wish to be heard? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed handicap parking on public streets in Elmont, Franklin Square, Lido Beach, and Oceanside.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? I do not have any slips. Is any member of the public that did not sign in that wishes to be heard on item number 4? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move that the be accepted and approved. The motion?
Okay, do I have a second?
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed local law regarding restricting parking in residential areas in Belmont Park vicinity in Elmont.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay, are there any slips on item number 5? John?
There we go.
I do not have any slips. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on item number 5? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the board accept.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have the application of United Gas Corporation for a permit to include an existing gasoline service station within the GSS district, to expand an existing convenience store and install a canopy in Uniondale.
Okay, please identify yourself for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, and other council members. My name is Janice Whalen. My office is at 23 Green Street, Huntington, New York. I represent the applicant, United Gas Corp., in our request for permission to be included in the GSS district for the gas station located at 510 Uniondale Avenue in Uniondale. We also seek certain waivers of the GSS district regulations and for permission to expand our convenience store to capture an existing bay that's already in the building, and permission also to install a canopy for the protection and convenience of our patrons. Appearing with me this evening is Mr. Harold Gephardt, the architect who prepared the plan, as well as Mr. Wayne Muller, a traffic expert at RM Engineering, who prepared the traffic letter, which is before you tonight. I want to thank Ms. Hanson and Mr. Bocella of the Town Clerk's Office, who assisted us throughout this application process. I understand that an inspection was performed several days ago at Mr. Bocella's request, and I want to assure the board that the items that indicated, I believe it was a roofed-over lean-to in the back, as well as a car lift, those have all been taken care of, and they're no longer violations. I wish to confirm that the outside of the canopy installation, the site will have no expansion. There's not going to be any increase in the number of fuel pumps, increase to the building size. The freestanding building already has a convenience store that measures about 400 square feet. We're just capturing one of the 3 bays to increase that C-store to about 882 square feet. The site has been a gasoline station and service station for 72 years. I've given you 4 exhibits. Exhibit A is the records of the Nassau County Assessor, which shows that the site dates back to 1949. Exhibits B and C are certificates of occupancy and certificates of completion, dated 1949 and 2017, at which time we installed 2 new underground gas tanks. These were fully certified and approved by the Nassau County Fire Marshal. Over the last couple of days, I've had the opportunity to speak to a neighbor to the rear of us. He was concerned that we were installing new tanks. I assured him that we were not, and I explained to him that our site plan proposes an overall improvement to this very old gas station. We're going to be putting a 5-foot buffer of Leland cypress trees between our property and his property along the rear and also along the south side, which adjoins the municipal parking lot. Of course, we will proudly display an American flag both on top of the building and on the south of the premises. It'll be open 24 hours. We will always have personnel to assist anyone who needs help pumping gas. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Before you move on, just so I know, is it existing 24-hour right now?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
It is.
Councilwoman, any questions?
I have lots of questions for you.
Okay, do you want to do the rest of the presentation first? Or?
Let her make a presentation first.
Okay.
There's really nothing else I wanted to add. I'd rather respond to the
Okay.
woman's request.
Councilwoman?
Okay, I have some pictures that I want you to see, and I wondered if you are aware of those. I heard that you say you had done, I think, 2 or 3 inspections.
We had 1 inspection just this past week, and that inspection yielded a 4-point violation notice. One was that the property wasn't in the GSS district, which is why we're here tonight. The second was the fact that we had a car lift in the back. That has been removed. And the third was I believe it was like a roofed-over porch. That has also been removed. And the 4th violation was an open building permit, which we are starting tomorrow seeking to close out.
Okay, but there's some others, and as soon as she comes back with the pictures, I will show them to you because they are
Absolutely. May I approach?
outstanding. I'm going to show them. She'll be back in a minute. Yeah, I have some. I have what she had, but I have some better ones that I had them done. But you can have this. You can see this. Look at all this mess. This is nothing compared to what. Did she come with them?
These are your photos?
Oh, this not.
Yeah, here we go.
I believe that these are the pictures that I provided. I have these pictures now.
Yeah, Ms. Whalen, those are your submissions, am I accurate?
These are my submissions.
Okay, the councilwoman's staff is getting additional photos, so we'll give it a moment. Just a quick clarification. Looking at your photos, I see that, and I guess your application is indicating you want to take one of the 3 bays and change that and expand the the shopping center or the shopping unit. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that would be the closest unit to the
Correct.
current facility?
Correct.
Okay, and I understand that, and I appreciate the fact that you've removed the lift in the back. And I know you said you spoke to the neighbor.
Mr. Watkinson, he's.
Mr. Was he the neighbor facing where that lift was?
Yes, sir.
And you spoke to him and you showed him that you were going to put some plants back there
I did.
as a buffer?
As
Okay.
a matter of fact, I sent him a full set of our site plans, including our landscaping plans.
Did you talk to him on the phone or did you go visit him?
Actually, I spoke with him several times, once when he was in Ms. Hanson's office, and twice I responded to questions that he had on the phone.
Okay. I don't know if he's here tonight. Was he receptive to
Very.
the changes you were making there to give him
appreciative.
a better quality of life?
He was very appreciative, and I gave him my contact information if he has any issues in the future, that he could always contact me.
Okay, and I know there was a bump in the road, a little confusion that some people thought that it was an expansion of the pumps, but it's not. There's no
Not
change
at all.
to the exist.
No expansion of pumps, no expansion of fueling stations. We're going to keep the same 6 that are there.
Gotcha. And as I looked at the photo, just talk to me about, you want to do a canopy coming off the building, I would imagine, where the.
Not off the building. The
Well-
canopy is going to be, I believe it's 19 by 24. It's about 900 square feet. It's going to be above the fueling stations.
Okay,
To protect patrons and employees from weather elements.
Because right now it's an open station.
It is.
Correct.
It
Okay.
is. And unfortunately, it's not as competitive as other stations because we don't have a sufficient convenience store and we don't have the canopy. So we're trying to keep this business afloat, keep it competitive, and clean it up.
Right, and I do appreciate that. I know we have a couple of residents here that, people want their neighborhood to, everyone wants, all the neighborhoods to look great. And I do appreciate the fact that you're looking to do the plants. And I know Councilman Dunn is very, big on the American flag being at the location. So we appreciate that as well. Has your staff
I would have
returned?
had a picture of that flag for you, but the wind had bent it, but it's been fixed as of the meeting tonight.
Okay.
Well, you could start looking at this, number one, I don't know what sheet this is, with all the garbage and so forth that's inside on the floor.
That is, I took this picture to show the board that this is the space we're capturing. That's the existing bay that's immediately next door to our convenience store. That's pretty much where items are being stored, but usually it's closed. I just wanted to show you the space we were capturing.
Okay, but there's a lot of garbage. As soon as she gets here, I had some other pictures made, and they're really large and show so much stuff, I can't believe it. Teresa, where are you?
Okay.
But I want you to see them because they're really, I showed them to my attorney, and he couldn't believe it either. There's so much junk piled. You have tires piled back there. I don't know what it's like. It's like something round, and it's some type of whatever you have should not be there.
Could
I know
have
that.
been the lift, but I can assure you that anything that takes place in the rear of our facility is going to be fully enclosed, landscaped. I mean, obviously, with a service station, there's going to be some items that can't fit in the building, but none of this is going to be visible to any of the rear residences or the north and south, and certainly not from the front.
Okay, well, she's here now.
Ms. Whalen, your clients, are they the short term, or how long have they owned the
No,
premises?
my client he's been involved in this property, or rather United Gas Corp. has been involved in this property since 1997. In 2005, they purchased it, and it's leased to the operator, but we are the owner and the face of this application.
Can you believe this? I want to see these. It shouldn't be
Okay,
that
so
big. You want
the
to,
councilwoman's going to, if we can present that,
I want you to see
it's
these.
not just the lift in the back, and I know you're eliminating that. There seems to be a buffer of several feet where they have been storing motors or as well as other equipment or other vehicle parts out there. Is your client intending to clean up that an area and commit to not putting any of those parts back there? Because it is still going to be not only a gas station, it also is going to obviously still have repairs being done there in the other 2 bays. Am I correct?
Exactly. We're still going to be operating in the 2 southernmost bays. It does appear that there is some equipment that's stored outside. What I can say is that to the best of our ability, we will put everything in the bays, but there's probably still going to be a limited amount of outdoor storage that will be completely enclosed and buffered so that nobody can see it. I think that the gates must have, with all due respect, I'm asking this question. The gates must have been open for these pictures to have been taken, so they're generally not visible to any of the neighbors.
Well, even if you're saying the gate might have been open, it shouldn't have been there in the first place. That should have been cleaned up, especially since you're coming here now because you want to add something else and you haven't done what you should be there and doing now.
Well, I will immediately advise my client that everything that they could keep in the bays should be kept in the bays.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I can understand, you know, as I said, you could see where the lift was, and again, we appreciate it, but I guess my biggest concern is, and I understand you talked to the neighbor, I guess it's the outdoor storage of vehicle parts. You know what, let it be, they have to go buy a trailer or something to put in there, but, they just can't leave it in the back like that. So, you know what, that's just not being a good neighbor to people.
Understood.
And also, as Councilman pointed out, it is a fire hazard too. So it's something that, we have to take in consideration with the application. And the fact that he's been doing it, so it's a little troublesome, but,
I will immediately contact anybody, Ms. Hanson, with our plan of how we will address this.
Okay.
And I apologize, Ms. Gooseby, for this being brought to your attention, but please be assured, we seek to be a good neighbor and make this site better than it is.
And I'm looking at these cars. Are you parking cars there as well?
There are 7 parking spaces, but there is no car sale, no sale of cars happening here. But we do provide, I believe, 6 to 7 parking spots, including a handicap spot.
And that's for customers
Customers.
and employees. How many employees probably work
Well,
there?
there's 2 in the convenience store and 2 in the bays. We don't really, we don't expect any increase in the number of employees at the site.
When it comes to and you'll explain to me right now, the 24-hour convenience store, full access 24 hours a day, or is there a limitation to an exterior window during the evenings?
As far as I know, it's full access to the convenience store. And again, we make a commitment to be providing any assistance to anybody who can't pump their own gas, any elderly or infirm people. We want to be a good neighbor. We want to make this a better site. And it's been there for 72 years. Yeah. And as
Okay, the problem is this too. I looked at the sheet wherein you did have someone come in and do an inspection, but it doesn't have any of the things on there that I'm showing to you now. So it makes me wonder, and I just don't think this is right. It's not going to be right, and we cannot have that kind of thing in that community.
Councilwoman Gooseby, you have my word that regardless if it was on the violation notice or not, I will be communicating with Ms. Hanson to address the issues that you've brought up to me today. And I just want to remind the board that part of this application seeks certain waivers from the GSS district regulations, most of which are have to relate to the geometry. The GSS district requires 15,000 square feet. We only have 10,000 square feet. And one of those relaxations is seeking permission for a self-service facility in the future. Right now, we're full service, but we plan to go over to self-service with the proviso that someone will always be there to help.
And certainly you're going to put all of it, everything that you promised to do, you're going to put that in writing, is that right?
I'm
All
sorry.
that's coming in writing? She's going to put everything in writing.
Of course.
What she's saying is she doesn't want to just rely on your word. She wants it in writing from you.
Well, I understand that usually boards impose covenants as part of approvals, and I'll speak with my client, and I can communicate with anyone in the town attorney's office to come up with mutually agreeable language to memorialize that into a covenant.
Okay, we're going to go, I don't have any slips from the public on this. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to be heard on this? Great. If you go to the back and identify yourself, I'll give you a name and address, that'd be great. Thank you so much. Ms. Whalen, if you could just be on standby there and answer some questions. Thank you.
Okay, so you know me,
Your name and address for the record, please?
I have to do my life law because
I'd like to have the pictures back, please.
yes, I have a question. Is that the Conoco that's currently there? The Conoco? Okay, so Pearl Jacobs Uniondale. president of the Nostrand Garden Civic Association. First, I would like to say that Conoco that's currently there, I haven't seen, what's behind the fences or behind, residents' homes, but I can say that the current proprietor there, they run it very well. They have it very clean as far as when you look from Uniondale Avenue. They're one of the few businesses on Uniondale Avenue that makes sure that they put some beautification there and it is clean. But my question is, and it's kept very clean, and they're very polite.
Thank you.
But my question is, with this expansion or would it be contained within the current?
Absolutely.
There's no easement out into Uniondale Avenue or anything like that?
If I could speak for a second?
Yeah.
We're not proposing any expansion beyond the existing building footprint. The only non-building expansion is the installation of the canopy to protect people from weather elements. And that will go atop of the 6 fueling.
Miss Whalen, if you just talking to the mic so everybody can
Oh, I'm
hear.
sorry.
Thank you so much.
Just to reiterate, we're not proposing any expansion beyond the building footprint except for the canopy, which will be above the 6 fueling stations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think you're on Uniondale Avenue and Hempstead Boulevard, right? This is one you're speaking of, okay?
Good evening. If you give name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening. My name is Heidi Saft, 116 Florence Avenue, Hempstead, right on the border of Uniondale. I'm also the vice president of the Nostrand Gardens Civic Association in Uniondale. I have a question regarding this new canopy that you're talking about. It says Uniondale in large letters next to that. What is that? Is that what it's going to say?
Take a look.
Yeah, sure. Here, see?
No, that's
Okay.
just the location.
Okay. So what is it going to say anything on the canopy?
I believe it's going to say Conoco.
Okay. Is it going to be any flashing lights or anything? It'll just be a simple sign, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ms. Whalen. Appreciate that.
It's going to say Conoco, and of course, it wouldn't have flashing lights. I don't believe that's permitted in the town code anyway, but it's really just to protect patrons and from weather elements to make this gas station more viable and competitive with other nearby stations.
The other thing that I would like to bring up and request, we have a big beautification team as part of our civic group, and every year we plant about 1,000 flowers, and senior Councilwoman Gooseby knows about that and supports that. Can you do any kind of plantings? I know you said you're doing a little bit of a buffer. Can you add some flowers, ask the owners?
I'm sure that we can. Right now, we propose all along the rear 5 feet of Leland cypresses, and also on the southern boundary by the municipal parking lot. If you want to send me any proposal, I'll be happy to share it with the owner of the property.
Okay. Do you have a card?
I do. I'll give
Okay.
it to you.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
There are some trees that are there that are dead, so I know you're going to replace those, right? Okay.
Thank you very much.
There's been a very big project of Uniondale Avenue, which the town has also supported. You know, millions of dollars have been put in, so we want to, make it even better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't have any other slips. Does anybody, a member of the public, wish to be heard on this who hasn't been heard? All right. Councilwoman, want to make a motion?
Yes, I move that we close and reserve.
Second.
Yes, we have Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Ms. Whalen, thank you very much for your presentation. If you could follow up with the residents, that'd be ideal. All right, thank you so much.
Happy birthday to the senior council.
Thank you, and I'd like to see, and please, come back and bring everything the way you said you're going to bring it, so I don't want to look at those pictures anymore, okay? Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call administrative calendar.
Yes, on the administrative calendar this evening, we have items 7 through 43.
First, does any member of the board wish to be heard on the administrative calendar?
Yes, I wish to reserve 18 and 19 on the administrative calendar.
Joe? It's adjourn. Is it adjourn or reserve?
Adjourn it.
Adjourn. Okay.
Well, Councilman, would tabling be acceptable?
Yes, we'll table that. That'd be fine.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
We'll do the motion
To table first?
table items 18 and 19. Did we get a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay. For the remaining matters in administrative calendars, any member of the board wish to be heard on it? Okay, if not, I have a couple of slips in. We'll start with a Bonnie Garone. Good evening, Ms. Garone. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Good evening, Bonnie Garone, Rockville Center. I first have two quick questions on item 27. I'd like to know what CBS Systems does for the IT department and whether this is a typo or is this really based on a resolution from 1998?
Okay, hold on. Hold the clock. Don't want to get yelled at. You want to come up to the mic, please? Thank you. No, up here. Up here. You got it. Thanks, brother. That's okay. You just identify yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Brian Richards from IT. Yes, it is a resolution from '98. We have been using the same person. It is a antiquated mainframe system. He is one of the only people that can support that system. So we now are redoing the contract because we want to make sure that we start phasing him out because we went to a new Oracle system.
Well, can you really extend the contract from 1998 or should there be a new contract?
Right, he gave us a new contract for 1 year because we're trying to get off that old system into the newer system and go into the cloud.
Okay, then it should be attached to the resolution, and it's not. So I would call for that to be put on the website after this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Garone.
Okay, and now I have some questions about item 11. This is the $7.1 million contract with Oracle for either re-implementation or reinstallation, both words are used, of the Enterprise Resource Planning System, the ERP. I'd like to know why it's necessary to re-implement/reinstall, what that means. I'd also like to know what this contract is based on. And I ask that because this resolution says Oracle has a New York State OGS centralized contract with the state, but it doesn't say that this is the contract we're using. It just recites that they have one. And in fact, contract number CM00884, which is referenced here, doesn't appear to exist. It might have at one time. I've seen an old copy, but it's not a current contract. I searched the OGS website today, and then I called the OGS procurement section, and they confirmed that. So first, can you tell me what this project is and why it's necessary, and then how these contract terms were arrived at?
So a couple of years ago, we put out a bid for the implementation of the Oracle project, and unfortunately, the company that won the bid did not implement correctly. We've had multiple problems with it, so we've contacted Oracle directly, and they are going to re-implement for us in order to fix the problems that the current company has made mistakes on.
Have we tried to recoup our...
I just a question. What year was the contract that was implemented that had all the issues?
18? It was either 18 or 19.
Okay.
And that company was Cherry Road. I cannot speak to getting the money back, but I would assume that we would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was by the...
Let me address that to some extent. I'm not talking about any such efforts, nor would it be advisable, even if it were something that were to be considered, to discuss that in an open meeting, any more than we would discuss current existing litigation. But in essence, this is a capital expenditure for a project that will last decades, that is essential to the services of the town. When you use the words, and you saw the words install and reinstall, in effect, what you may know this from operating your own home computer, Ms. Garone. Oftentimes, when there is an improvement in a system, a correction of problems or bugs or glitches in a system, you have to uninstall the old system and reinstall the new one. This is an update. It is a long-term capital expenditure, and the necessity of going with this particular company, with Oracle, would be based simply upon the fact that the existing system that was purchased, I believe, in 2018 under the prior administration, that system was also Oracle. So that's the installation and reinstallation. In other words, this is the next generation. This is an improvement. This gets out any glitches or problems that existed in the system. And as you might know, a program in your own computer, as I said, you might want to install the latest version, the newest version, the version that was prepared by a software company that fixed problems that were identified by perhaps users, end users, or by the company itself. The first thing you have to do is uninstall the old system to reinstall the new system. And that's fairly basic IT, and that was explained to me because I asked the same questions that you did. As for the prior contract, I understand what you're saying, and I heard what you said about the prior contract from the state, which would allow us to piggyback on it as a matter of procurement. But you must note that there really isn't an alternative to going with Oracle for this purpose, because we are currently using the current system is Oracle. It's the logical thing to uninstall and then reinstall the new program.
Everything you said, actually, Mr. Nocella, makes perfect sense. And you know I don't often say that. I think what you explained was very helpful. However, there is no such contract as recited here. We're talking about transparency, and we're also talking about pricing. If we're not piggybacking off a state contract, we can't be because this contract doesn't exist, then where do we get the $7.1 million price?
The contract was subject to negotiation by the town's controller and by the IT department. Oracle has the product, and their contract had been presented to us. It is up on the website. I don't know if you saw it. The contract, that is in a form that where certain minor terms may yet be altered or changed. I'll use it for instance. Their contract, which they use as a contract routinely for their services, states, and shall be governed and interpreted under the laws of the state of California. We have negotiated with them to change that to the laws of the state of New York. But the form of the contract and its essence and its essential terms includes the price which is identified in the resolution, the price is identified in the contract. That's what they charge for their services. That's not one of the negotiable terms. It's something that you can haggle to some extent. But if you're talking about a massive system that's going to span decades and be utilized for decades, and of course have a preservation of records for decades, that's the price.
I don't disagree. Again, something new. I don't disagree with anything you've said. However, to do this properly and to do this legally and to do this with full transparency, I suggest this needs to be tabled, and you need a new resolution to honestly say essentially what you just said without saying the words, that this is a sole source contract, not a contract based on contract number CM, et cetera, because that contract just plain doesn't exist. And the fact that I had to do research and actually talk to OGS to learn that is really atrocious. And this doesn't go to the legality. This goes to, operation or transparency. You need to honestly say this is a sole source, it was negotiated, and, this is the price. Because
Thank you, Ms. Garone.
resolution-
Thank you, Mr. Nocella, for giving that great answer. And I do appreciate the fact that Ms. Garone paid you a nice compliment, so you get a smiley face on your fridge tonight, because she actually agreed with you, and we'll take that to heart. Next, I have James Jacobs.
Please table this.
Thank you. Ms. Garone, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. If you name and address for the record, thanks.
James B. Jacob, Foxy State, Unionville, Ashcourt. That's it. Yeah, excuse me. I just want clarification on item number 32, 33, and 34. As a resolution to reject all bids for treatment of improvement for removal 1,4-dioxin and VOC in Uniondale. And I was wondering for clarification, was that mean that all bids was selected were not accepted for clean water for Uniondale?
Mr. Reinhardt, if you can identify yourself and answer the question, thank you.
Commissioner Reinhardt, Department of Water. I think the second half of your question I didn't actually hear when I was walking up. I'm sorry.
Okay, you want me to state it? Okay, I noticed in the paper that East Meadow got a new water treatment for the 1,4-dioxin and other pollutants, and I see something for Uniondale was rejected, and I was just wondering why, for clarification.
Okay, so each of these systems are being designed. We're designing 19 of these systems throughout our districts. Each of those systems gets bidded independently. When those bids are opened up, those bids are analyzed. When the bids for the Uniondale projects were opened up, there were a number of anomalies in the bid prices. Two of the contractors, in fact, wished to withdraw their bids right after opening. And the third contract, there were a number of errors in the bid prices provided. Because of the tight timeline that we're on for our deferral, rather than getting involved in legalities with various contractors, we felt it was best just to reject all bids and rebid it. We're clarifying a number of items in the contract that seem to have caused these errors among the contractors.
Okay, but this still, for better understanding, for well number 4 and well number 5, they will address the issue of the pollutants in the water system eventually, wouldn't they, sir?
I'm sorry, that's what these contracts are, to provide these systems to remove those pollutants, yes.
Yeah, I understand that, but, okay, let me just calm down for a second. I noticed in certain hamlets that when they have issue of water pollutants, such as 1,4-dioxin and others, the process don't seem to take as long when it comes to Uniondale. And just for my own edification, because someone said all the bills were rejected, and you give me extra explanation why, I'm hoping in the near future that a bid will be submitted and accepted, so the residents of the hamlet of Uniondale will get better clean water. Because I know when you send the standards, there's no such thing as pure water, but still, you still want to have water that have hidden pollutants in it that will affect your children, the young scholars, and the neighbors, first the seniors in our hamlet. Because our senior Dorothy Gooseby is our representative, and I know she's a fighter, but I know she can't cover all bases, especially when it comes to air pollution, water pollution, and things of that nature. So I'm just asking to make sure that when the bid is submitted and it's up to your standard, that Uniondale will be addressed these issues.
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. J, I think he was saying that.
Yes, Supervisor Cleveland, yes.
No, I think that's what he's saying, that they weren't happy with it, and to expedite it, that's why they're rejecting it, so they can get right out there and get more bids on it. Am I right about that?
That's correct.
Yeah, he's trying to actually get it done quicker.
This is the fourth of 9 of these contracts we're bidding. So, I mean, Uniondale was actually one of the early ones that we designed and bid for this work. There's 5 other contracts that are still in the design stages and will be bid over the next 18 months. So the Uniondale project was actually pretty far ahead in the design phases.
Okay, so this open up to minorities and women businesses, also the place has been in also, right, sir?
We're seeking New York State funding, so it's all MWBE veteran encouraged bidding, yes.
Oh, okay.
There's standard EFC requirements in those contracts.
All right, just want to make sure there's a fair process for all that's involved. Thank you.
Okay.
And you can also let them know that we have asked the state to give us more money for our water as they did on the other side of town. So we requested that already, and we've been working on it.
Still working on them.
Still working on that. New York State not giving us any money. I don't have any other slips. Is there anybody that did not be heard on the administrative calendar that would like to be heard? I'm just asking you to please go to the back there, identify yourself with your name and address for the record. Thank you. Good evening. Name and address, please.
Felix Procacci, Franklin Square. Just item number 21. First, why is it necessary for town funds to be used to support DOOR?
Who else would fund them?
Here comes Reverend Millett. Commissioner, good evening. How are you, sir? All right. If you just give your name and address to identify yourself to Mr. Procacci.
Eric Millett, Commissioner, DOOR. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
To you, Mr. Supervisor. This is in relations to our admin cost. The town only provides, well, rather the state provides only a certain amount of money for each grant.
Okay.
So they, in other words, they don't provide enough.
So where the state shortchanges us, the town picks up the difference?
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
So this is not federal funds? I thought DOOR was federal. It's
The state, the state gives the funding for it.
Right. It's program, and then there is admin.
Okay.
This is admin.
The resolution doesn't indicate what fund this money is coming from either.
It's the WIOA grant.
It doesn't say that.
It's the main grant, yes, that we function under. Okay. WIOA.
Okay, it should be in the resolution. Usually you have an account number where the money's coming from or something like that. This resolution is short on information.
It's not our account. He doesn't understand. It's a grant from the state.
It's
But it doesn't indicate that it's coming from a grant either. At least I don't see it here. Did I miss it?
John, do you want to help him?
Explain that to him, please.
John, why don't you come over to the mic, because, Mr. Bicanchi gets, sometimes he doesn't hear well, so I want to make sure he's happy.
Thank you, Don.
Very concerned about you.
Just identifies the issue on number 31. It references the adopted budget and the amendment to the adopted budget to pay for it.
Thank you.
It's in two parts.
21 and 31. Okay.
Okay, well, just, I didn't know that because it didn't say that. Thank you.
You got it. Anybody else that wishes to be heard on the administrative calendar that did not sign in?
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. William Benesso for Chelly Deegan Tirana, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York. I did sign in just as I got here. I was alerted very late this afternoon that a letter had come in regarding items 18 and 19 on the
We received communications. We tabled it. The councilwoman made the motion. So if you'd like, I would ask you maybe you could stick around for a couple minutes after the meeting to talk to the town attorney about the communication we received from the union to talk about, but it was tabled.
Would it be at all possible for the board to consider putting it back on the calendar, taking it off the table based upon what I provide the board this evening, what I indicate to the board this evening?
Supervisor, it is technically possible if Mr. Benesso wants to use the same amount of time as anybody else to speak on this issue, and he convinces the board that it should be voted on today. That's a perfectly reasonable option.
Thank you, and I'll be brief. But basically, the letter that was received by the town today was from a labor union which asserted that it should be removed, that the board should give it further consideration before it approves the site plan for this project, which is a distribution and an industrial distribution center in Uniondale at 107 Charles Lindbergh Boulevard, because it's going to be an Amazon last mile facility. Besides the fact that that's completely irrelevant when it comes to the town's consideration of whether or not a site plan is adequate or not, it's simply untrue. An identical letter as the one received today by the town was sent to the Nassau County Planning Commission back when this matter went before them for their review and recommendation under 239M of the General Municipal Law. At that time, I appeared along with the site engineer for the project, and we pointed out that, number one, there's no letter of intent with Amazon to be a tenant at this property. Number two, there's no lease in place. And most importantly, number three, the site cannot accommodate a last mile facility according to the needs and specifications of Amazon and the way they operate such facilities. In order for that to happen, if some point in the future Amazon came out of nowhere and decided that they wanted this site, it would require significant modifications to the site plan, which would start the site plan review process all over again, and it would have to come back before this board. So this is really a delaying tactic on the part of the letter writer to prevent this from being approved. They've delayed it once before because of the initial letter that they sent to the Nassau County Planning Commission, which caused a delay, and now they're asking, now they're attempting to delay this further by putting false information before the town board. So we would ask the board to consider placing it back on the administrative calendar and approving it based upon all the information I've provided.
So there is no Amazon facility going there whatsoever. That was the communication received.
Not at all.
Joe, just for clarification, can a motion be made to restore that to the full administrative calendar?
Yes, you can.
Would that have to be separate before the administrative calendar is adopted?
Yes, it needs to be made before the administrative calendar is adopted.
Councilwoman, do you have a motion?
Okay, I make a motion that we reinstate 18 and 19, you know, on the.
And technically on table?
Yes.
Yes. I second the motion to take 18 and 19 off the table.
You mean to restore, to under?
Restore, yeah.
Sorry.
Supervisor Clavin?
Aye.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn? Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming down, and good job keeping it under 3 minutes. I do not have any other slips on the administrative calendar. If anybody else that likes to be heard that has not already been heard on the, spoken on the administrative calendar, yes, ma'am, if you'd like to be heard, that would be great. You're speaking to this. Good evening again. If you give your name and address.
Yeah, good evening again. Yeah, Heidi Sanft, 116 Florence Avenue, Hempstead, on the border of Uniondale, and also Vice President, No String Garden Civic Association. I didn't know I'd be speaking about this, but I do have a question regarding 18 and 19. The attorney who just spoke mentioned that 107 Charles Lindbergh Boulevard is in Uniondale, and here it says Garden City. So I would just like clarification. Is it in Uniondale or Garden City?
Ma'am, that's the section that is not in the village of Garden City, and I think sometimes it's referred to as Uniondale, and sometimes it's referred to as East Garden City.
Well, okay.
But it's technically, in my view, it would be considered Uniondale. I think it's simply, sometimes people use the old designation.
Right. Well, it's really important to us in Uniondale to make sure that if this is in fact in Uniondale, that it's called Uniondale. There have been many pushes to make sure that if a place is in Uniondale, that's what it's called. And East Garden City is no longer a census designated place. There's all kinds of legal actions that have been taken. For many years, there was an attempt to kind of rename parts of Uniondale as East Garden City because maybe the powers of be thought that sounded more attractive for some reason. So we're very sensitive about this. So what I'm saying is, if this is in fact in Uniondale, I would like you to please change this so that it's correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Jacobs, I know you spoke earlier. Did you want to speak on either 18 or 19?
Yeah, that's the reason I raised my hand, but Ms. Staff did such a wonderful job. I'm just asking in the future that if by chance Amazon do come over to their location, like the gentleman said, that it keeps identity whole as part of Uniondale, because it's very important to the residents and the people living in the hamlet. Because we support Dr. Gooseby because we know that she's a fighter, but in the same token, she's a lone voice to be speaking for us, and we'd like to have more support, especially people representing that side of town. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Jacobs. I don't have any other slips. Does anybody else wish to be heard the administrative calendar? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the administrative calendar number 7 through 43, which includes the 2 that we just added.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin?
Aye.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn? Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye. Okay, I make a motion.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, how about a second on that, guys?
Yes, you can second your motion because I first.
Tommy Muscarella seconded.
Let the record reflect.
Did
Senior
not say-
Councilwoman Gooseby moved
Yes, I moved it.
motion, and Councilman Diaz-Bazito seconded. Supervisor Clavin?
Aye.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito? Councilman Dunn? Senior Councilwoman Gooseby? Councilwoman Miller?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye. Okay, now that the formal program is done at the town board meeting, the town board will remain to listen to the comments of residents. I have a couple of slips in here. We'll start with a Felix Procacci. Good evening, Mr. Procacci. If you give your name and address to the record.
Felix Procacci, Franklin Square. Did the town sign a franchise agreement with Cablevision Systems this year?
Yes, we did.
Okay, I foiled that and I asked for the current and the previous version. I got one that was signed back in 2003, and then they said the other one was not available, and then I just recently got a resolution talking to that, but no agreement. Is there a physical document that you could send me?
Mr. Procacci, there's a physical document, and I will see that you get it tomorrow, or that at least tomorrow we will be in the process of getting it to you.
Okay, that's fine. I just was confused about. Okay. Also, the town's ethics law says that the Board of Ethics shall acknowledge receipt of all complaints that it receives and shall proceed with reasonable promptness to conduct investigation. What does reasonable promptness mean to this board, since it's a very vague term? Because I've been waiting nearly 5 months. So can anyone give me that definition? If you don't want to answer, just say no and I'll continue.
But Mr. Procacci, you're asking a board that consists of the supervisor and 6 council people what their view or what their understanding of a legal term is. Yes. Reasonable promptness. I don't think it's a fair question, and this is not a question and answer. This is a chance for you to make a public comment. You've often brought up your ethics complaint, and I've often addressed it with you. At the next ethics board meeting, where I sit ex officio as town attorney, any further business that you have addressed with the ethics board will be taken care of then, and you will hear from them.
Okay, because if you read the law, it also says that the supervisor shall distribute the ethics law to all the board members so they could read it and understand the meanings of it. So I don't think my question is out of line, because all the board members, according to the law, should have received this and read it. So, I mean, you know, so it'd be nice if you do get back to me, you know, because it is October 18th when I submitted my complaint, so I'm waiting. Also, I have a suggestion. We just went through an application today. We went through a lengthy application at the last meeting. Why not give the applicant, not mandatory, but an option of submitting it to the town ahead of time, so you find a place on the website, preferably on the front page, if it's in Merrick, North Merrick, Franklin Square, and you have the applicant with all the traffic study, the plans, anything they want, the landscaping plans, so people could, you know, review that before they come to the meeting and ask questions based on information, as opposed to, like, sometimes we regurgitate the same topic over and over again. So just a suggestion, right now with technology, submit some PDFs, large drawings, small drawings, put the links up on the website, and just even email people you have their, they sign up for their email, that you have their location. If they live in Merrick, you would email those people who live in Merrick if something is going to be done in Merrick. So it just would help facilitate the meetings, I think, if everyone's on the same page as to what the applicant is saying. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Cacci. You have a nice evening. Next, I have Bonnie Garone. Good evening again, and name and address. Thanks.
Bonnie Garone, Rockville Center. Continuing on the topic of transparency, I honestly can't believe that this board just voted on a resolution that was clearly false, that referred to, basically said that it was based on a contract that doesn't exist. The least you could have done was amend the resolution before you voted, but obviously you don't care whether it was accurate or not. But continuing on the topic of transparency and contracts, in the town code, there is a section fostering government transparency, and the first item says that all executed contracts that are currently in effect are to be published under the section of the town website of the agency or town department administering their agreements. The contracts aren't on the website, and that's the town code that you passed. So it would be great if the contracts really were there, so that the residents could see them, and apparently the law requires it. In addition, I believe it would be helpful and prudent to require vendors and would-be vendors to complete some additional information that's also made available to the residents, as the county does. For example, they should identify the officers of the corporation or the principals of any other business, give us some history, whether they have any past labor or discrimination complaints or violations, and their political contributions. That would make everything transparent, and the residents would know what was going on. And if you'd like, I'd be happy to design a draft form that you could use for that purpose. You ask the vendors to complete it when they make a bid or an RFP or sign a contract, and then you put it on the website alongside the contract. And I've spoken in the past about the Board of Ethics putting accurate information on the website so that we know who the members actually are and when their terms expire, because they do expire under the town code. And also asking for public input and expressions of interest in case there are other residents beyond your small circle of people that you know who might be interested in getting involved in government, in commissions or boards or advisory committees, and they could make that information known to you if you made that invitation. And of course, I implore you again, as I do at each meeting, to also form an animal shelter advisory committee. It would be useful for the town. It would provide additional information and points of view about a very controversial part of the town's operations. And once again, I offer my participation. I would love to volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cron. You have a nice evening. Next, I have Pearl Jacobs. Good evening. You gave me name and address for the record, please. Thanks.
Pearl Jacobs, Uniondale. Town of Hempstead's ADU hypocrisy. Let me start by stating that Governor Hochul's proposal to legalize accessory dwelling units, apartments on the properties of single-family homes was not a good idea. And I signed the Town of Hempstead's petition in opposition of this plan that would have most certainly deteriorated the quality of life for my fellow Long Islanders that reside outside of communities of color. Homeowners in communities of color have realized the degradation of their quality of life due to decades of inadequate and passive code enforcement in their communities. Homeowners in Councilmanic District 1 have been living for years with the unfavorable results of illegal housing, for example, 12 to 15 people living in single-family homes, hostel houses, shelter homes, excessive trash and sanitation violations, traffic and parking issues, and overcrowding of our schools. Myself and other residents have come before this council many times advocating for proactive code enforcement in our communities. When we approached the Town of Hempstead, the response was disconnection, disengagement, and distancing, just the opposite of how you reacted to Governor Hochul's plan. There was no outcry because these homes were in communities of color. However, I must acknowledge Mr. Lipinski and his team. For the past few years, they have been extremely responsive to violations that are referred to their office. I am not holding them accountable at all for the decades of neglect that preceded their tenure. To quote Supervisor Clavin, Governor Hochul's ill-conceived proposal to legalize accessory dwelling units amounted to an attack on our suburban quality of life here on Long Island. Supervisor Clavin, homeowners in Councilmanic District 1, quality of life has been under attack for decades. To quote Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, the residents of Hempstead Town and all those who call Long Island home deserve the opportunity to have a say in the future of their communities. The way Governor Hochul went about this change was wrong, and I'm glad that she has come to her senses and removed this plan from her budget proposal. I agree with you, Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, with your statement, but I ask, why doesn't this opportunity pertain to residents who reside in Councilmanic District 1? Town of Hempstead council members and Nassau County legislators collectively took a hard stand on this proposal and agreed that the legalization of ADUs would destroy Long Island's suburban way of life. I am pleased that my fellow Long Islanders that do not reside in majority-minority communities have been spared of watching their communities spiral downwards and their property values plummeting. You call it ADUs. Residents in minority communities call it illegal housing. I call it Town of Hempstead's apartheid zoning enforcement, as it is evident that illegal housing is acceptable in the town's minority communities. Since the town and Hempstead and the county.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jacobs, and thank you for Ms. Jacobs. Ms. Jacobs, I know that you know the 3-minute rule. Mr. Jacobs, I'm going to be calling you now, Mr. Jacobs, so please. Ms. Jacobs, you know the 3 minutes. We're happy to, and by the way, we really appreciate the nice remarks about John Lipinski and the people in the building department. They work really hard. We are very grateful for it. If you'd like to submit that in the back, you do know the 3-minute rule, and we're very grateful as always. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, James Jacobs, please. Mr. Jacobs, if you could please give your name and address for the record, that would be great. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. 568 Ashcroft, James B. Jacobs. I have a newspaper, Beacon for Uniondale Edition, and on the front cover it has elected officials rejoicing ADU victory over Hochul, which is really nice, but I don't see Councilman District 1 Gooseby on it. And I was wondering, I mean, I look at this picture, I can't relate to all the people from East Meadow except for being a homeowner. And like my missus stated before, when we come to the town and county about certain issues, either we get ignored, but they always collect our tax money. When we ask for just to be equal treatment, we get ignored, but they still collect our tax money. Where's the fairness in government? Because I thought this country was founded on representation, without taxation, without fair representation. But yet, as a taxpayer that don't do for no easement on my county and town taxes, pay my full weight, my full load, I don't be asked for any kind of handout, I feel that we're disenfranchised as a resident in Uniondale. And even though Councilman Gooseby has a lot on her plate, and I know she's a fighter, I wish we all would work more together, help all the residents in Nassau County, because when the election year comes up, they ask everybody to vote for them, but yet when we ask them to come to our school board meeting, like recently we had a candidate night for the Uniondale School District, and we asked for Mr. Clayman representative to show up, and one for the county to show up. I'm sorry, the county was there, but not the town. And then you felt disheartened because if you put Mr. Clayman supposed to represent all the people in Nassau County, when the school board asks him to send a representative, he don't send anybody. That should, to me, like a disrespect or don't care about my person as an individual, Uniondale as a resident. And that's just when I say that, because when I look at these papers and see how you take care of other hamlets and other villages, where's the fairness to my community as a hamlet? That's all I ask, just fair treatment. Because if I give you respect, I just want respect in return for where I live at. Thank you.
Well, you know, I can tell you one thing. I was not invited when I was invited for this, but I had a problem, so I could not come. But I did send a rep. But when it came to candidates, you know, when I was running, I was the only one excluded. I was not invited to come to your meeting, so I just want to tell you.
Ms. Gooseby, I don't run the meeting. I'm just a citizen. No, I'm just sharing some information with you. I'm just a citizen, just speaking for my behalf of the Union resident over 30
you have
years.
a civic association there, and I was not invited.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Razi Dene? Good evening. If you give your name and address for the record, that'd be great. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Raz Denny. I live at 1107 Braxton Street in Uniondale. I just want to wish you, the town board and the supervisor, a good evening. I just have a couple comments. I definitely agree with the ADU ruling, where it's definitely not allowed, should not be allowed in Nassau or any portion of Long Island. And I just wanted to basically read what you had basically stated, that the sweeping changes to New York State housing regulations would have forced urbanization on suburban communities zoned for single-family use, increasing the population of neighborhoods and placing a significant strain on the local environment. Traffic, parking, availability, emergency services, police protection, gas and electric supply, sanitary systems, the water supply, and local school systems. Indeed, the unpopular community altering overhaul was sneakily slipped into the governor's budget proposal without receiving proper scrutiny beforehand by municipal officials and members of the public. What I basically want to state is that I've been in Nassau County for 70 plus years, and I've been in Uniondale for 35 years. What I have seen in the last 15 years is appalling. I have come here several times with 3 different supervisors, Supervisor Santoro, Supervisor Murray, and you, Supervisor Clavin, and I have basically stated that there is a big issue with houses, single-family houses that were slotted for single families are being brought up by people outside, and then they're renting these single-family homes to Hofstra and other college students. This is a huge problem which I have brought over 15 years, and I know of at least 25 homes. If I know of 25, there must be at least 150. And having 8 to 10 students in one single-family home, you can imagine what that puts on a system, and nothing has been resolved. The only person in this town of Hempstead who has really helped me was Mr. Caparelli, the sanitation person, when the sanitation issues were so severe.
Okay, Mr. Denny, thank you very much. What I will ask is I'm going to ask our building commissioner to grab your information, and maybe you can give us the address of those houses, and we can reach out to the Hofstra University president and talk to her about that being a better neighbor. Next, I have Heidi Sandift.
Let me just say one thing. I agree with what you're saying about the housing, but I can tell you one thing. We can do better than what's in the village of Hempstead. It's already been done. We have people in the basement. We have next door to me, I think there may be 10 people living in that house. It's all over. And now we're to the point where they want to build more housing, and they would have had more in your area, except I sit here and will not allow them to do it. And this board listens to me. If I don't want something coming in, it does not come. So that's the way that's going. But in the village of Hempstead, forget it. And you guys support those people. You say you're helping them, but forget it. Right now, they want to build houses from all the way down past Jerusalem, to Peninsula Boulevard. Our kids do not have buses. They walk to school. They want to build right on the corner of, right across on Peninsula Boulevard, right across from where McDonald's is. You know where those stores are? They want to put up housing there for people who are special needs. I don't mean the real special needs, but the kids have to walk past them to go to school, and these buildings are not large enough. I'm just so upset about it, and it's getting worse. And now you know we have more. The IGA, with us, we're paying so many taxes because we have more people coming in, and 30-year mortgage, 30 years they get on that. I'm just, you think it's bad? You just wait. You're going to see what's happening to the rest of us.
Okay. Ms. Sanford?
Yes, okay. You know my address, right? This is time 3. Okay. I would like to preface my statement with mention that my family has owned a home on the Hempstead-Uniondale border since 1967, so we go back a long way. I agree that Governor Hochul's rescinded proposal to legalize accessory dwelling units on the property of single-family homes was not a good idea. I had planned to sign the town of Hempstead's petition in opposition of the plan. My question is, if you are so against making these as accessory dwelling units legal, then why haven't you enforced the local laws in Uniondale? Uniondale is inundated with illegal apartments. You've turned a blind eye to garages that house these apartments, to basement apartments, to landlords who rent out mattress space on an hourly basis.
Have some
And,
note in Union-
excuse me, let me finish, please.
I just want to know if you have that in Uniondale. People.
It's in Uniondale, that's what I'm talking about.
Would you give us the names and the house numbers, please?
Can I finish because the clock is running? Have you stopped the clock?
Okay, go ahead.
And 2 blocks with so many cars parked on the street that it's impossible to see when backing out of your own driveway. This lack of interest on your part has created a situation where our civic association's members wonder on a daily basis if they will survive backing out of their driveways. Many houses have 5 or 6 cars parked on streets. The situation is beyond dangerous. It is a recipe for disaster right here in the middle of Nassau County. If I drive 5 minutes, I am in neighborhoods where there is lots of room to park on the streets. Why is this? It's either because you only care if this happens in your neighborhoods, or if you happen to live in or near Uniondale, you as a political official have given up. This is no way to run the town of Hempstead. I stand here agreeing with Pearl Jacobs. Every word she said, I sadly agree with, even though this may not be what you want to hear or face. Our political officials have destroyed the small town look and feel of Uniondale by looking the other way. Before it even gets worse, it's way past time for you to make the decision to do whatever needs to be done to improve the situation in a focused and consistent way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And if you have any addresses of illegal apartments or units, please provide them to the building department. That's the object. When I was receiver of taxes, people would supply it to me. I'd turn them right over and take an investigation right into it. So if you know where they are, just give us the addresses and we'll give them right to the building department.
Yes, Supervisor Clay, I just want to mention one thing. There are so many illegal apartments in Uniondale, it's overwhelming. And even if we made a list, you would need to hire more people to investigate. So maybe that's what you need to do, is sit down with us and start hiring enough people to investigate this issue, because it really is overwhelming. You're giving us a job. I'm a small business owner. What I'm doing right now, I do for free because I care, no other reason. It's an overwhelming job.
As I said, you can please supply us with the addresses. I'm happy to send down people from the building department to investigate it. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Next I have Diane Madden. Good evening. If you name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Diane Madden, Hempstead. Last meeting, I had asked if you would open up adoptions, not just by appointment only, and yet, to my understanding, as of Friday, that was not the case, and you must make an appointment to adopt an animal. When is that going to change? Supervisor Clavin, when are you going to open up the animal shelter for adoptions, on-site adoptions?
I'm writing all everything you're saying down, Ms. Madden, so please go on.
Well, if you're writing it down, you can solve this problem by bringing in new management. A very similar shelter that operates like Hempstead, a humane society, a whistleblower decided to resign her position and expose the same things that are taking place at the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter. The programs are completely demolished. I read this capital improvement application grant, which was filled with deceptions. It talked about how many staff members are there and what great training the animals are getting and the volunteers. And it just went on to saying that what programs are in place, and it's all untrue. Additionally, Mr. Marino apparently wasn't honest about the fact that the taxpayers will have to pay 50% of the grant if it's provided to the town. And nothing is going to help that animal shelter. You can build a state-of-the-art facility, but if you don't have good, caring, compassionate management with integrity, it's not going to get better. And not even an advisory committee can help. Because if you have anyone at the wheel that is just obedient to the party and doesn't care about the animals, it's not going to get better. And you had made a really demeaning comment to Mr. Procacci that he can't hear. We need you to hear. And I hope you have a plan to change that management. You're not a boy with your hand and your finger in the dam. You have the power to fix this, as does this board. Councilwoman Miller, do you have any intention at all of getting involved with this situation with the animal shelter?
I plan on going to visit, and I'll do my research, yes.
Okay, well, and I appreciate that very much. I just ask that when you do go visit, don't make an appointment. Go in a few times at different times of the day, and you'll find that they are short-staffed, severely short-staffed. But again, instead of Mr. Pistori trying to get a grant to cover up the real problems at the shelter, he's not pleading to get new staff. You need new management.
We appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
All righty, take care. Next, I have Stuart Kroll. Good evening, Mr. Kroll. If your name and address for the record, please.
Stu Kroll, Great Neck. It has recently come to my attention that not long ago a dog at the town shelter was put down due to a bite incident. This was a dog that was previously promoted by the town. While it is true that during the duration of COVID there were less volunteers at the town shelter, it is also true that the lack of volunteers continued long past the point where they were at any risk. Let us not forget that well over a year ago, when the state gathering limit was 50, the party had a fundraiser for over 200 people, but apparently the threat of COVID was secondary to raising money for the party. Some people feel that we should not expect competence and compassion from a municipal shelter. My feeling is quite the opposite. Municipal shelters, particularly such a well-financed one as Hempstead, have resources that are not even imaginable to small private rescues. Therefore, it must be in the area of personnel that town shelters fall woefully inadequate. Our shelter director, Pastore, personally inspected and gave a clean bill of health to the facility in Utica, which was so heinous it brought the Utica mayor to tears. We also know what happened following that, which I don't have to even mention. Some years ago, our behaviorist trainer, Fonte, was hired for the job when there were two bidders for the position, Miss Sorrentino being the other. Ms. Sorrentino had been a certified trainer for almost 30 years, I believe starting in 1993, if memory serves me correct. She was also the low bidder for the proposed job. The logical question then is, how did Ms. Fonte get hired for a position where most of her stated qualifications were out and outright lies? Apparently she has now gotten them. If I were a suspicious, cynical person, I would think that someone with considerable influence intended hiring her regardless of her qualifications, paling in comparison, asking more money as well. I would very much like to know who signed off on hiring her, knowing Ms. Sorrentino was infinitely more qualified. Whatever political crony it was, I hope they were happy knowing that animals are dying due to a lack of qualified personnel in charge. Circumstances at the shelter will never change for the better until we have smart and compassionate leadership. We can't be sending cats to a feral cat sanctuary in the dead of winter that have been living inside and have no winter coats. We can't have such people with the ability to make life and death decisions. On a different note, our TNR program is thankfully now running at full capacity. However, it seems somewhat absurd to me and intentionally restrictive to expect homeowners to submit a copy of their driver's license and a letter in order to get these cats fixed, that are going to be on their property. One of the trappers actually helped me catch a cat today. Some trappers that do exemplary work will not get involved while these restrictions are in effect. These homeowners will not allow their private information to be given out for very good reasons, the potential for identity theft and what have you. My last point, it's my fervent hope that Mr. Uri has been suspended with or without pay. It is patently unfair to any town employee to have to work alongside such an individual. allegedly part of a major dogfighting ring. Yuri himself being charged with many counts of torturing animals. While we presume always the presumption of innocence, I'm sure that the police involved did their job thoroughly with due diligence.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kroll. Thanks for visiting the town of Hempstead. I don't have any other slips. Is there anybody else who did not sign in and like to be heard in the public sector comment? The gentleman right there. If you go to the back and give your name and address, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Hi, how you doing?
Good. Hello, board members. My name is Norman Bowen. I'm at 763 Center Drive in Baldwin. I just wanted to come here to find out about the Boost program, the grant that the town of Hempstead offered up till the end of last year. I was approved for the $10,000 grant, and I've been waiting and trying to get information about how the money gets dispersed, and there is no one that can answer that question. I'm a small business owner. I lost my partner, Miss Gooseby, probably knows her very well, and I'm struggling to keep my business open. And this grant would be a lifeline, and I just can't get any information from anyone.
If I'm not mistaken, and I see Commissioner Rodkamp's back there, I think the Boost program was done through Nassau County. Am I correct about that? So it was done through Nassau County. What I'll say to you is, why don't you give Commissioner Rodkamp your name and number, and what I'll do is I'll call up to the county and see if they can find out the status for you. Maybe we can find a phone number and somebody answers up there for you, okay?
Thank you very much.
No problem at all. All right? That's John Rodkamp right there. He'll take your name and address right now. Anybody else who wish to be heard that didn't sign in? If not, everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you.